When you've got your elevations assembled, it's time to start thinking about assembling corners. First thing you have to do is you have to take your corner kit and cut all the parts out of the spruce. Now with the corner kits, you've got the top and bottom corner supports as well as the support strip. With the support strip, you've got two lines printed on it. Depending on what series of LCC you are working with, you have to cut along that line to match the height of the components. We're working with the O2 series, which is the station series, which means we have to cut along this line. So let me just do it very quickly. Now take all the top and bottom corner supports. Now that we've got all the parts of the corner support spruce taken out, we can start assembling corners. To do this, take the most outside part of your elevation, like so. In this case, we'll be putting together the station elevation and the and one of the corner elevations, side elevations together, and we'll be putting those two parts together, two small extensions. Let me show you how to do it. Now let's put this aside. Now those three components are the parts that you use to construct the corner. You glue this strip inside of the angle, and top and bottom top and bottom triangles on the top and bottom of the parts. Firstly, slot those two parts in at 90-degree angle. Again, use a little persuasion if you have to. Some of them are a little bit tight fitting, but that's actually better because there will be less gap. Now, as I shown before with the straight parts, you can actually slot them in quite easily without damaging them if they are tight fitting. Just turn them around and push them in very gently. Don't use too much force or you'll damage the parts. Remember, they are made from quite soft material. Now they are perfectly fitting, as you can see. First thing you do is you take you put some glue on the inside here. Just put some glue in. Like so. Take this strip and place it inside the corner, like so. Now this on its own adds quite a lot of strength to the corner. However, if you use the top and bottom parts, it will be even stronger, and actually will be quite durable kit as well. To do this, determine your top and bottom. In this case, we don't really have to worry about, because those two parts are the same, so it doesn't really matter how you connect them later. So put some glue on the top and bottom of the parts. Let me just add some glue. Like so. And glue the support in, like so. There you go. Do the same thing with bottom support as well. I do recommend having a nice flat surface, so makes everything easier. Now set this aside to dry. Now let's sort out the other corner, which will be same again. Those two parts. As you can see, this time they slot in quite easily. Let's put the strip in. Use a ruler if you have to. There you go. Nice and easy. Glue the top and bottom supports. Again, in this case, it doesn't matter where you glue them, because those two parts are the same. So make sure that you glue them straight. There you go. Put this aside to dry. After you've got the first corner assembled and the glue has dried, you can either continue and assemble all the four corners, or you can start assembling the side elevations for the corners. In this video I'm going to be doing the side elevations first, and then after I've got two parts, the two elevations, I'm going to add the roadside and the platform elevations. So our corners are small part, the small extension panel and big extension panel, as well as the door. So that will be our side elevation. And with this, we'll be having the another bigger extension panel coming at 90 degrees as a corner. So let's assemble the corner first. Again, slot those two panels in. Now set this aside to dry again. Before we build the first side elevation, let's have a look at the wall support kit we've got in this bundle. It's composed of pairs of top and bottom support strips. Let's quickly cut out one pair. As you can see, the bottom support strip is wider than the top one. The bottom one is used to ensure that all the parts or the walls are straight, and the top one provides some additional strength. Now, when you've got your top and bottom supports ready for the wall, it's time to start assembling this elevation. It will be made with the big corner from the two bigger extensions, single door, and a smaller corner. Now always make sure you locate the top and bottom supports on the corners, in this case like here, and the bottom of the door. First thing you want to do is you want to apply some glue to the protruding ends of the corner support, like so. Let's apply some glue. Again, remember the top and bottom. Put the part in, the door in, make sure it's glued, and now flip it around. Again, make sure you locate the top and bottom, slot them in like so. Set it aside and take your top and bottom supports. They are marked, as you can see, top and bottom. First one I recommend putting on is the top one. So take your kit, align it, and cut away roughly as much as you need, like so. Apply some glue to the top, like so, and put the top support in place, roughly flush with the top. Now flip it around again. It's time to do the bottom support. Again, cut away as much as you need. Firstly, dry fit it, because have to be fitting quite snugly like so. Apply some glue. With bottom supports you have to remember to apply glue here as well, because it will be connecting to those parts of the corner supports, like so. Put it in, and on a level surface level it with the other ones, make sure it's glued, and that's your first side elevation done. Now after that elevation, that first side elevation is done, prepare the other smaller corner like so, and take the door and the large panel again, and we can start assembling the other corner. The other part you will also need is the, again, small. Now in this case it will be doing a corner which is unlike the three previous ones, little bit different. It's built with the bigger panel and the smaller panel. So let's quickly build the corner. And now we'll have to think about where the top and bottom parts are. Now with this corner, we're going to be assembling it like so, which means that here we will have to put the top support, top corner support, like so. And we'll have to put the bottom corner support in here, like so. Now again, set this aside for a bit to dry. Now that this have dried, again we can use the top and bottom support strips to connect it all together. So let's flip it. Again, make sure that everything is correctly positioned, so flip it like this. And there you go, that's your second side elevation done, and in a bit we'll be assembling the platform and road elevations and gluing them to this. Now that we've got both side elevations, we can assemble and add the at the roadside and the station elevation. Let's start with the station elevation. Now again, make sure all the parts are nice and slotted, nice, straight and level. Turn them around like so. Remember where the bottom and the top is. Take one of the side elevations, again this one will do. Make sure you know where the top and bottom is, like so. Slot it in. Take the second elevation, slot it in, there you go. And now, using the strips again, using the top and bottom strips, start gluing everything together. We already have leftover top and bottom strips from the side elevations, so let's start with those. One tip, I recommend starting with the top strips. Turn it around. Now we can glue the bottom strip in. And set this to dry for a couple of minutes. Now that this assembly had some time to dry, you can see it is starting to take shape of a building. Now next step is to glue in the road elevation, which we have here. Again, turn it around. Make sure it is facing correct direction. Put some glue in again here to glue the corner. Now again, turn it around to glue in the top strips first. Let's get some strips out first. Turn it around to glue in the bottom support strips. Always make sure that this is either flush or a little bit lower so the roof fits properly. Set aside for the glue to dry. After the glue had some time to dry, we can see the basic building being already almost done. Now this can be left as it is, or we could put some glue on the joints to hide them a little bit. Let me show you how to do this. I recommend using a wood glue or any other water soluble glue. Water it down to the consistency of paint, like you would use normal paint. Now I already prepared some earlier. You can see it is quite runny, and just paint the glue in. Take the excess with a your finger or bit of tissue. Just paint it in like so. Make sure it is covered pretty well. Now at this stage also it is quite important to make sure the parts are fitted well and level, like so. Don't be scared to use quite a lot of it. When it dries, it goes much flatter. And now go around the building and repeat this on each connection. If you have to, do it twice. Put water down glue twice on each connection. Remember, it's always better to put 2 layers instead of 1, same as with painting. So just go around the building, put water down glue in all of the joints. This will not only hide them a little bit better when you paint it, but also will add a little bit more strength as you'll be putting additional as you'll be putting glue between the joints, making it a little bit more rigid. So I'll come back to you when this is done. Now after you've put some glue on the all of the joints and let it dry for a couple of minutes, we can either start putting the roof on, or we can start putting the decorations, the brick decorations on top. With this kit you've got 6 pairs of those 2 brick high decorations. Let me cut them out first and then we will start putting them on. This should do for now, and let me show you how to put them on. Firstly, get some glue. Get some glue, put it on the underside of each of the decoration strips, like so. In this case we'll be putting them on top of the building, where the roof meets with the actual building. Now I always recommend to start from the corners. Follow the brick pattern, try to align it with the bricks on the building, like so. And when you've got the first one, just continue putting them on. Now, before we move on to the roof, let me show you how to glue the decoration strips around the corners and how to shorten them. As you can see, we've got the decoration strips going here, but there's a gap here and the full strip won't fit, so we have to trim it. Now I do recommend using an offcut, something that was left, something that is too short to use anywhere else, so you don't waste your material again. To cut it, put it here, put it in the correct place. Now use sharp pencil to mark where to cut it, like so. Now we can see the mark here, so this will be the brick where you have to cut, so cut along this brick. Now remember where the other interlocking part is. We need to make sure that it's on the other side, on the bottom instead of the top. So cut in half here, turn it around and cut here. And now it should fit. Let me have a look. Sometimes it may need a little bit more trimming or fitting, but this should be okay, like so. And let me glue it very quickly. Like so. As you can see, we filled the gap. It's still interlocking, still keeping the nice interlocking parts, like so. Now, after I finish putting the decoration strips around the whole building, let's move on to the roof.